Let's go.
I realized that maybe I could pass some people. So I passed Arun and I passed Lulu pretty quickly, and then I was gone.
It looks like Penn may have had the opportunity to pass some people. So hot. It's go time. I'm a sure thing.
We are back with the authors of the instant New York Times bestseller, ADHD is Awesome. Podcasters Penn and Kim Holderness are here. Launching, we went to the commercial break. Kim, you were talking about in the beginning, it was alluring. It's like this spontaneous, amazing guy. Mm-hmm. And then, what were the negatives that what were the negatives that started to seep in?
At first, I thought he was doing it on purpose.
What was? Give me an example.
He lost his wedding ring within a week of us getting married.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And not that I thought he was doing that on purpose.
How is that? Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't doing that on purpose, but like he kept losing them. Oh. So he ended up getting a tattoo on his finger, which that worked.
That's a good solution.
But, the refrigerator door is left open, the apartment door is unlocked, the clothes aren't in the hamper. Like all of those things, I just found them, I thought they were just very disrespectful. Mm-hmm. It caused a lot of arguments. We went to marriage counseling.
What did you say in that counseling?
I just felt like, this stuff is so easy. Just put your underwear in the freaking hamper.
Right.
And what I learned, and honestly, it cued the research for this book, I learned that all of those things, his brain is so wonderful. I mean, he does such amazing things, such creativity, but all of those things that are very easy for me are very hard for him.
How did it feel, Penn, when you're in marriage counseling, right? Mm-hmm. At this point, you're in a crisis of some sort, and you recognize that it's not you not respecting her. It's not a lack of love or appreciation. It's your brain.
I mean, there's shame before that, right? There's a lot of shame. What's wrong with me? Why can't I get this right? It's so easy. I see it in kids all the time. It also happens to adults. It doesn't just happen to kids. When she was told this and then accepted this, okay, this is the way his brain is, and she started giving me grace and forgiveness. Yeah, I mean, I'm like, now I'm getting teared up, right? It made me want to promise to work harder, and it made me work harder in the end.
But you can make those promises, but as you talk about in the book, it's a medical diagnosis.
It is.
So you can have the best intentions, but recognize that your body is reacting the way it knows how.
And it is. And look, there's medicine to deal with this, but there's also systems that you can put in place. And that's really the hard work. That's, the tattoo that I put on my finger. I left the stove on one time and almost burned down the house. So I know.
What was that feeling like again? Because
so ashamed.
Yeah.
So ashamed, so like, what's wrong with me? And this was a few months ago. This wasn't like, I'm 50 and I'm doing this, you know? So like, how do I get better? But now I set a timer every time I turn the stove on. I pee sitting down now because I don't want her to have a splashdown at 2 o'clock in the morning. Because otherwise I'll just forget to bring the toilet seat out. And that's like a comfortable thing for me anyway.
I just went down a different road there. None of this first half of the show did I predict.
It's a candid conversation.
That's a candid conversation. I know your child is 13. Your child has
15.
15, I apologize, 15. Your child has been diagnosed with ADHD. So you have your husband, who has found a way to thrive. And you have your son, who's a kid, who has to understand now that ADHD is awesome.
It's hard. And I will say, when we first got the diagnosis, he did get diagnosed when he was 13. And when the doctor told us, we obviously suspected it, but it did feel like this really severe medical diagnosis. And we were already researching this book. So
were you hearing from the school? By then?
Here's the thing, and his symptoms were different than a lot of boys his age. He was not hyperactive, more inattentive. And again, he has this amazing, wonderful brain, just like his dad. He can see something and remember it, and he's such a good student. But it's the doing the work, but maybe not turning it in.
Yeah.
It's like those. It's all of those little everything that's so hard for me and my brain. Like, he gets really advanced math equations, but like won't turn in the homework.
And even though teachers are, I mean, listen, my mom's an educator, and the education system has corrected many of the wrongs in the 80s especially. And I specifically speak to that because that was the time in my life where you start to feel that you're being punished
Right.
for the way your mind works. Fast forward now, it's still a challenge for educators. It's still a challenge for parents. There's a meme that goes around and it talks about children with ADHD and also children who are on the spectrum, and it shows a parent armoring up to go defend their kid because you feel like when you go into that school that you're defending your child. And every time I see that meme, it touches my heart because to feel like you've got to show up to the parent-teacher conference to defend that beautiful mind is hard.
It is hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, what you're doing right now is so important because you're bringing awareness, right? You're doing an entire show, and you're talking about traditional teaching. A lot of teachers and a lot of administrators have started at least moving toward what's called a strengths-based approach, which is not like when are you messing up, it's when are you crushing it? What are your better classes? And then when it comes to parenting, and Kim's amazing at this, when my son does something that's really hard for her to do or anybody else to do, just like trying to correct someone, she connects with them and says, not many people can do what you just did. That's a special type of thing.
So let's get to the thriving part because you have it in the book. And in the book, you have the details on how people thrive, and you include a diagram that we have, the benefits of creativity, hyperfocus, bold vision, intuition, determination, downsides, inattention, impulsivity, hyperactivity. How do you, the part of this where it's reality, it can be a problem, we know that. It can be a challenge for educators and adults and everybody involved in this. But you've come to the conclusion it's a superpower. And a lot of people don't like that language.
First page of our book is called ADHD is Awesome. Awesome has two very different definitions. Awesome, the way we use it, but then also it can incite fear, and it's something to be afraid of. We believe ADHD is both things. He can hyper focus on something, and I don't know if you have this skill too. He'll forget to eat. He'll be 8 hours editing a video, he'll be so locked in. That's an amazing, I wish I had some of that. But you have to also acknowledge that there are some tough struggles, and just to blindly call it a superpower, it can really diminish the people that are struggling to hold a job right
and
now.
that's, I think this is phenomenal. It's no surprise the book was a New York Times instant bestseller. You can follow the Holderness' journey on social media. Their social media is bottom of the screen. ADHD is Awesome. It is wherever books are sold. And because you are awesome, you're all going home with a copy of this New York Times instant bestseller. Up next, the conversation continues. She's become one of the biggest voices on social media, showing the realities of living with ADHD. She joins the conversation after the break. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hey, Tam fam, this is our best season yet. Season 6, no one's doing daytime like us here in the Tam fam. No one's daring to go there, and you know we go there. Would you like to tell me more? Cooking things up hot, bringing the style and fashion to you, connecting with big emotions, big smiles, and the biggest wow. This season is all about you. Let's get down to it.
Watch weekdays